Well, good afternoon, good people. It's Saturday afternoon, and man, it's quiet in here. After having all my kids and my niece and nephew and everything else, everybody's gone. I don't know what to do with myself now. But anyway, I've been doing some work and some research here, and it's kind of crazy what I've found. Okay, now some people gave me a lot of grief about Mozzie Smith, and I told you guys the thing that I saw in training camp with Mozzie was like a sponge. He was the first guy out on the field at practice, and he was the last one to leave. You know, I saw Micah Parsons after practice working with him as well, you know, running sprints and things, because realizing that, you know, Mozzie Smith is key to Micah Parsons, you know, playing. And people don't seem to understand that great players sometimes are great because they also have people around them. We keep looking at Dak Prescott and saying, well, Dak Prescott, he needs to be like Joe Montana. Well, Joe Montana had a Jerry Rice and Dwight Clark and Roger Craig's around him. You know, Roger Craig was the first running back to rush for 1,000 yards and have 1,000 yards receiving. And of course, Jerry Rice, the all time leading receiver, and Dwight Clark, and guys like that. You have to have people around you to make you great. And this is one of the things that has been something that, you know, I've talked about for years, wanting the great one technique guy, because as my buddy DMV said, when you control the middle of the field, you control the field. And if you look back at the Cowboys in recent history, you can tell that we've had problems at safety and defensive line. Defensive line is typically an afterthought. I was really surprised that the Cowboys spent a first round draft pick on a defensive lineman. Unfortunately, when you are a number one pick, the expectations go through the roof. And we're beginning to see some dividends coming back with Mozzie. So far this year, he's our second leading defensive lineman in tackles leader. Osa Ndigizua has 33, I'm sure it's done, has 33 combined, 16 solos, 15 assists, and 3 tackles for loss. My man has 31, 16 solo tackles, same as Osa, 15 assists, and 3 tackles for loss, and 2 quarterback hits, and a half a sack. But here's the thing. We can go back through, and when we dissect our playoff losses against Green Bay, against San Francisco, against the Ram, they all have something in common beyond people saying, well, Dak didn't do enough, is we haven't been able to run the football very effectively. We've averaged basically about 50 yards on the ground throughout those playoff games. And we have not been able to stop other teams from running the football. And that's directly attributed to the defensive line. And this is crazy because as I went back through to 2015. In 23, Osa Ndigizua, now keep in mind, there's a difference between a 5 technique, a 3 technique, and a 1 technique. Typically, you know, your 1 technique lines up over the center. A 3 technique is going to line up over the guards. 5 technique is going to line up over the tackles. Typically, your 1 technique is your bigger guy that's got to take on the double teams. He's going to get abused. You're going to get hit every which way, and your job is not to make tackles as much as it is to keep the guards from getting out to the second level on the linebackers. The linebackers are the ones to get the glory. Be that as it may, when we go back through last year, Osa Ndigizua had 46 tackles, led the team, 26 solo, 20 assists, 9 tackles for loss, 13 quarterback hits. Great season. And Hankins last year had 27, 13 solos, 14 assists, 2 tackles for loss, and 3 quarterback hits. Mozzie already has done more than Hankins did last year. In fact, when you go back in 22, Quentin Bohannon was our main guy as a one technique guy. He only had 19 tackles, 7 assists, 7 solos, 12 assists, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 quarterback hit. Before that, we had Neville Gallimore, the Canadian bulldozer, 13 tackles, 5 solos, 8 assists, 3 tackles for loss. Before that, Tristan Hill, 11 tackles, 6 solos. Okay, I can go down here. 2019, Christian Covington, 28, 20, 8, 4, and 3. 2018, Daniel Ross, 14, 6, 8, 3, and 7. Before that, Richard Ashe, 15, 12, 3, 2, 2. And 2016, Richard Ashe and Cedric Thornton, 22, 12, 10, 4, and 4. And in 2015, Nick Hayden. Now, Nick Hayden was more of like Osa. He was really more of a defensive tackle than a nose tackle. Had 48, 33, 15, and 5, so which is the best defensive line play we've had in the last 10 years. Now, interestingly enough, Cowboys Wire has an article on Osa and on Mozzie Smith. After a poor rookie season, held back by weight loss, a lousy get-off, and adjusting a new seam, Smith hoped to bounce back under Mike Zimmer this year. In his first 9 weeks of the season, things looked like they hadn't changed much for Smith. He had a single outstanding performance against the New York Giants, a genuinely tanking team in their first meeting in Week 4. Smith's sole Pro Football Focus grade over 80 was that week, but he was objectively a bust in all other instances. In that time, Smith had games over 55 and overall grades of only 1 in 60 in run defense. His average of 35.2 overall Pro Football grade and 38 in run defense. Things look to have turned around for Smith, although he strung together several improved outings in a row. In Week 10 through 12, Smith has had a 55 or higher defensive grade in all 3 games, 2 of them over 60. His run defense grade have all been over 60, with 2 of them over 70. His average overall grade is 62.9, and his run defense average was 70.5. That 70.5 run defense grade would put him in the top 15 in the league this year. Let me say that again. His average of 70.5 run defense would put him in the top 15. Now, he's got to do it for the whole season. But it seems to be he's turned a corner the last few weeks. While Pro Football Focus grades are an essential tool for evaluation, they don't tell the entire story. Smith has had production to back up those improved marks. 7 of Smith's 19 tackles have come in the last 3-4 weeks. 4 of those 8 assists and 6 of his last 14 as well. Yeah, that's what I pointed out, that the last 3 weeks, he's basically had about 14 tackles, I think. Those numbers don't scream first-round pick, but they show improvement in his second season. Smith has been in the last 3 games. And Mozzie Smith. If I'm looking at his numbers, last year, he didn't start any game. I'm sorry, he started 3 games last year. Played in 17. Now, his mother did let me know that he had a hurt shoulder around Thanksgiving. His numbers for last year was 1 sack, 13 combined tackles, 9 solos, 4 assists, 3 tackles for loss, 3 quarterback hits. This season, in 12 games, 31 combined tackles, 16 solos, 15 assists, 3 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits. He's literally destroyed his numbers from last year. And we still have 5 games left for him to, hopefully get well over the 40 tackle mark. And you have to actually say, Mozzie Smith is putting together probably the best interior defensive lineman play we've had since probably Jay Ratcliffe. I didn't go all the way back to Jay Ratcliffe. I only went to 2015. But I can't say that I remember anybody in the middle of the field that was playing lights out since about that time. So maybe, just maybe, the pick that everybody said that was a miss, maybe it's not as bad as we thought it was. And I told you guys, Mozzie was going to be much better this year after what I saw in training camp. Alrighty, good people. I'll see you in about 3 hours in our members live stream. And I appreciate you guys. Peace.